All right. Good morning. Let me just record this. Oh, that's loud. Did you hear that? All righty, we are here. All right. Turn that down. All right. Welcome. Oh, it's right on time. 9 a.m. I thought it was going to be late today. And I looked at the time thing, it was 8:30. And I literally manifested some time. I've been pulling up some stuff lately. Pulling out, what do they say? The cat out of the bag, the dove out of the hat. So welcome. So this is Cynthia on Demand. I'm going to put my timer on. And we're going to have a chat for about 15 minutes. Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen? But the people I'm looking at. So I haven't even had a sip of tea. Can you see it? Oh, doesn't it look awesome? Earl Grey. American Earl Grey. It's very different to the rest of the world's Earl Grey. I don't know if you know that. I do not like Earl Grey in other countries. I like decaf Earl Grey. But in America, Earl Grey is very, very floral. Anyway, I don't know if you know this about me. I think some of my students know that I used to be what's called a nose. From when I was 17, I was taught to smell for perfumes. Some people do it for wine, right? But parfum. So when I think I was, just 17. And I went off to cosmetology school. You know what that is? It's not this. Not to be a cosmonaut. Yeah. Skin. I learned all about the skin and the hands and the feet and all of that. And that's what I was going into. And I learned all about how to smell and what the notes are under each smell. Anyhow, bit of trivia for you. Oh, what cup have I got? Now, let's get on with it because we don't have a lot of time. This is my energy today. I have got so much information this morning in such a short amount of time. And I literally don't have much planned, but that doesn't stop me. I got really excited this morning. So in my meditation and my activation, I was doing I've been asking to be shown the intricacies of my path because obviously I know where I'm going and whatnot, but there are some decisions and trajectories, right? So as an entrepreneur or if you're in business, sometimes they say when you pivot or not, like when you're listening, but I listen with the ear of the heart, and I could feel that. How do I put it? How I sit in the information was different. And so I'm asking, do I put the energy and the love and the dedication and the service into this in this way? Or I felt like there needed a refinement. And I was right. So the last 2 days, I've been listening to it coming in. Now, it comes in very subtle ways. So hence me teaching you how to listen. And to jump around a little bit, I was sitting after my processes and listening, basically. And I listen with all my senses, all my multidimensional senses. And I was shown my uncle. So many of you know his story, right? And he wrote a book on pendulums years ago, so long ago. And I was thinking, I wish I had that book. We can't get it anymore. And yeah, I may be able to get one, but I doubt it. Anyway, my point being, what I was shown to share. Now, we're not sharing it today, but probably in 2 weeks, we'll share it. And I was shown him because what was coming through was in honor of him and that work that he did. So this uncle is my dad's mirror twin brother. So he's the exact DNA, like he would be my father. Okay. So there's a connection there. And a long story about, him coming back to life at Easter and all that sort of stuff. So he holds there's many, many stories, but he holds a place in my heart and in how I am the way I am through our genetics, but also what he's taught me, even without him knowing, right? Just watching his path. And, and my dad is the other part of me, the science part of me, and so you put them together and it's literally, you've got me. It's very strange to be with them both, which is rare. Now, why is this relevant to you? Why is this relevant to you? Because what I was shown was, and have been recently, is the starting points of when I say starting points, obviously, you can start at any point, but the beginnings of awakening, well, really, it's the beginning of ascension. It's not necessarily the beginning of awakening. Awakening and ascension are different. Did you know that? When we talk about awakening and ascension, I say awakening, ascension, descension, soul embodiment. There's different things that happen. There's different muscles to be built, and there's different experiences to be had, or that you have. So I'm there saying, okay, show me what people are needing, because you sure aren't telling me. You sure aren't telling me. I ask every week, what do you want? What do you need? Right? You are telling me, well, I'm going to source. I'm going to source. I'm going to the beloved. I sit with the Divine Mother and I say, Mother, what do they need? And then I say, thank you. And then I say, Mother, Father, beloved, what do they want? Because what you want and what you need are often two very different things. And what I've been shown, numerous things, but they all come back to a beginningness, a starting point, a yes or a no or a yes, a love or a fear or a love. So what does a pendulum give you? And if we've got a pendulation. Isn't love and fear that also? So we're not going into necessarily pendulums and whatnot. What I'm sharing, and like I said, in a few weeks there'll be I'll be doing free workshops after the series, Spirit Whisperer 5 series. Now, all of this comes together. Why? Because people are petrified of talking about fear. How do I know this? Because I show up and no one else wants to talk about it. But you'll talk about love and you'll talk about, so when I say you, I'm talking as the royal we, you, right? Humans. We'll talk about how the fear of fear feels and project that, right? As humans, don't we? We'll say, we'll wake up, and what's the first thing you say when you wake up? What's the first thing you do? What does your face look like? If someone was to see you, are you going, or are you going, yeah? Or are you like, it's no right or wrong, just being connected, listening to the subtleties of the information you're getting. Are you waking up and projecting a fear of how you feel into the world? Is it, oh, my back, right? Is it, you see the subtleties of fear and love? Fear of love. These are your yeses and your no's and your yeses. What do people, well, maybe you don't know the answer to this, so, but I'll put it out anyway, because you may. Who am I to say? When people are feeling, humans are feeling their misalignment, right? They're feeling uncomfortable, discomfort, disease, scared. What do we generally do? There's not one answer, because it depends how your nervous system is navigating that. You could withdraw and try and nut it out and deal with it yourself, or you could reach out and everyone that you speak to, you tell how you feel. How are you today? And how many of you have this when someone asks you, how you doing? How you doing today? Or how are you? And you say, good. And in your head you go, you don't really. Or we don't really have time to go into how I really feel. Right? Is that a projection? Even if it's in your head. Is that energy? So I don't want you to feel like I'm here, tut-tutting you, right? Because it's more about, as human beings, this is what we do. It's not good or bad. It's what we do. Be aware of it. Be conscious of it. And when you have consciousness in just those real small movements in how you are in your day, how you are in your body, right? Do you think that that would help with your intuition? Do you think that would help with your spiritual development? Do you think that would help with how you make decisions in your business, in your relationships, in your life? I do. I do. And it's everyday practical, I'm going to say practical mysticism, right? It's that practicality of bringing in the listening, the deep listening into the subtle behaviors that you are into the world. If I'm talking about R-ing, right? Being R-ing. You R-ing into the world. You are in the world. So this morning, what I was shown was this sort of, refinement of why originally I was shown to share about, go back into the trauma and nervous system stuff. Right? It's not one or the other. It's not it's all of it. But our mind can find it difficult when we're overwhelmed. Ooh, it's windy. We'll see if I have to close that window. I like it though. It's going to start blowing things over. Bringing things together. Heaven and earth. The lower levels of intuition. There goes my timer. The lower levels of intuition. So the gut instinct, the survival instinct, right? Which links to the survival ego, which links to the fear of fear, which links to the big F, feminine. Fear, feminine, which links to the big S's, the Shekinah, Shakti, which might lead to the big K or the big M, right? Kali, or the mother. Earth, the earthly experience, the God, the beloved aspect that's here. And what we can dance with, what we can relate with, what we can create a vessel for, which then moves through us and with us. So I'm going to be talking about that a little more, start to bring it together. So for years, we've been talking about conscious evolution, evolving, awakening, ascension. Many of you have experienced a descension, coming back into the body. Hello, I feel like I'm starting again. I'm solid, I'm anchored, but it's taken me some time. Have you felt that? It's almost like I've done all this work and I still feel like I'm just being birthed. And I'm like, oh, what's this thing that moves? How do I work now? How does this system function now with the information that I've just integrated? Meaning, the last 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, however long you've been on your path. Now what? Who am I now? How do I work now? So I understand that people that watch, generally if you're on the holistic mystic, you've been on your path for a while. So, but some of you coming on to watch the lives, I don't know where you're at. I don't know if you stumbled across me. I don't know what you're dealing with, what your interests are. So there's that. So we're going to go into that more and more. So Spirit Whisperer is a free series from the 15th of July It's a speaker a day so that you can just, either watch them all or choose the ones you want and start to get this anchoring with the fears and the fear of fear and how we can navigate that density, really. Right. And I know that a lot of you and a lot of people, are talking about getting out of that. What you're really saying is you're getting out of Earth. Yes, you talk about New Earth. Most of you have no understanding what on earth you're talking about. The New Earths have been here as long as I can, as a seer, right? In fact, I was talking about biolocation last night. All right, here we go. Forget the time, people. Forget the time. We're going in. You're loving this, MA. You're having a bit of a chuckle this morning. I'm back. I'm on fire. Don't you worry about that. I'm swimming in the blue. So I was talking about biolocation, and I had written about this years ago, and I was trying to find it on my phone last night. I couldn't find it, so I'll have to look. But I wanted to show Eric because I don't talk about some of that phenomena a lot, but he was watching a series and it was talking about, and it was awesome because I was just telling him all about it because I'm a nerd, right? I innately understand physics, quantum physics and string theory and whatnot because the beloved set it up that way. I never studied it as such, but how I was seeing the world and what I was seeing and the experiences, my friends who were physicists, I would discuss with them and they'd say, oh, I think you're seeing this and that and that. And I'd show them my paintings and my drawings and they'd be like, oh, wow. And it was this cross-fertilization that what I was seeing was what they were looking for with their instruments of science. What I see, they need technology to see. And so it's not about being better than the other. It's about coming together and cross-fertilizing, utilizing. It always baffled me at university how all of these different disciplines didn't work together. Reason why? One of the big reasons why? Why do you think at universities the different disciplines don't and faculties don't work together as much as they could? Funding, research funding. Yeah. So, there's me, a social scientist, so studying sociology, anthropology, social work, politics, a little bit of family law. That's not really, I guess it's in there. But all of these ways of knowing why people do what they do, even down to the old ways of different cultural exchange, what money was, from the first peoples in all different cultures, and how, we changed from, foragers and hunter-gatherers to farming to, and how, so, right, the beliefs and conditioning of, and as I went from place to place and then doing, more of the, I did, it's called wet science with art, right? So creating artworks that push those boundaries of what we know. And I'm like, they're talking about this, but over there, they're talking about, like, why don't they just put it baffled me why they didn't talk. They didn't cross over. That's fear. Yeah. So got off on a tangent there, but biolocating or looking at Schrodinger's cat theory. You know that one? You can Google it. I'll give you the gist. There's a cat in a box. And there's a mechanism in there that it could die, it could stay alive. I'm not going to go into that, but you can Google it. And the question is around, is the cat alive or dead? And you don't know until you look, right? So there's that. But what I was seeing was something different, slightly different, where it was to do with the human, because that particular experiment was for small particles. And I was looking at how I was moving, like the phenomena that I was experiencing, being in different places at the same time, those sorts of things. And I don't talk about this very often because it's you know, it takes a lot of it's out of the mind, right? It's a little out of the mind. But suffice to say, because it came up last night, I was trying to explain to Eric, and I was like, I just need to give you my paper that I wrote, because I was writing about this when I was traveling and staying with my daughter and her partner at the time. And they're both nurses. And I was talking about the brain and this effect and what I was experiencing, and trying to find whether anyone else had talked about it and what else I could find. And there's something called, I believe it's called Schrodinger's kitten. And that would be probably the closest to what I was experiencing and how I was seeing that happen. Now, I'm not going to go into it because I may do the research on this one day. I did write it up because I was going to take it to a university to study it, right? Like the physics of it. But it is the metaphysics. It's the phenomena that humans have the potential of, right? See, you're sitting there thinking you've heard all my stories. You've been sitting here soaking it up, being the awesome vessels that you are. It's never ending. It's never bloody ending. I've got a story for everything. I'm telling you. So anyway, why, again, am I telling you this? Because the information that was coming in, who are we? How are we? Why are we the way we are? What is our potential as humans? All of what I'm talking about gives us answers, right? So back to the yes or the no. When somebody is in fear, is scared, is in fear, like they're spiraling. And we talk about a yes or a no. But look, I really would like you to contemplate this. So maybe write it down or rewatch this. You're in your stuff. You're feeling scared. You may be telling people around you that you're worried about something. You know, maybe it's fear of survival. You know, maybe your job's at risk, or you got a pay cut, or your rent went up, or your mortgage doubled. You know, in Australia, we have a lot of people's mortgages have near doubled, right? Food prices have gone up. Your children, you know, their schools want everything. Do you remember when the schools used to provide all the books and pencils and stuff? And now we need, right? Now we need laptops and what are they called? iPads and whatnot for primary school kids. I said to them, because I have 3 grandkids, right? One in high school, one's just gone to high school, one 2 in primary school. And my daughter was telling me, because I was asking about their writing, and, you know, just how you can tell where you're at through writing and through painting or through a line, and where you know, cross the T, or how, you know, and that from 8 years old through high school, they're on the iPads. They don't write. Although she did reassure me that they do have an art room and they do make some awesome things. So there's still that fine motor skill, but not to the extent. Now, not to project anything out into the world, it's just really going, you know, we don't know how that's going to impact the brain. We don't know. You can have a good guess, but you don't know. All right, so is that contraction fear or love? Is that yes, you're to do something? So think about when you want to do something. Do you have a quality that you say yes to things maybe you wish you hadn't? So you say yes to please people, or to, you know, because you feel that, you know, you feel something. So the yes takes the sting off it. But then later on, you get the, like, where am I going to find the time, or how am I going to get the energy, or whatnot, right? Do you have that? Or are you very clear on your yes and no? And if you're very clear on your yes and no, have you had to work on that? Has it always been that way? I was saying yesterday that in conversation, I don't really ask many questions. Like, I don't. Eric was asking about my youngest daughter because she messaged me about something. And as we were walking, he was asking me all these questions. And I was like, oh, I guess I don't know anything about what she's doing, because I couldn't answer any of these questions. Like, I could have guessed, right? I could have, you know, I wasn't gonna read that because it's none of my business if she didn't tell me. So we came home from the walk and I called her and I said, so I'm just calling you because Eric doesn't know the answers to these questions. And he was there and we had a laugh and she told me the whole story. It's pretty awesome. Some really great things are happening, but also some things that could bring up some fear. And because there's that. So let's get back to this. I've got written here, yes, no, love, fear, fear, love. How do you know what's what? You know, many years, many years, God, of teaching intuition, how to get your own answers, you know, how to get answers for others, all of that. How do you, when you say yes to something, you say, I feel it. A lot of people over the years have said, I feel it. I feel whether that's a good person or not. Okay. What's it feel like? What's the sensation? Where is it? What if, put your hats on, just put your hats on. What if, not only because the wind's blowing, but this might blow the hat off your head if you had a hat on your head. What if what you were feeling was the fear of love? And that if you accepted and integrated that, the next step with that person would open up to something more magnificent than you could even imagine. However, you felt it in your stomach or your gut, and your conditionings and beliefs have told you, that's when I feel that it's bad, that person is bad or that's wrong. Right? Wrong? Yes? Mm-hmm. How do you know what your yes is and what your no is if you've still got beliefs and past conditionings running the show? I can tell you this, when I have stepped into, for instance, working with a coach, my last coach, or my current one, when I stepped in with her, some of you might have known because I did talk about it a little bit. I felt that, but I also felt the love and the fear together. So if you're not at that stage, you may only be feeling the fear and not know that by stepping into that collaboration with that person, things are going to shift or move, or however you want to language that, right? So I'm not saying don't listen to your intuition. I'm saying listen, but understand its language. Because we can listen to somebody who speaks another language and hear them, but have no meaning. We right? Or wrong. Even if they speak the same language, how many of you listened to even me speak, or I've listened to you, or with your partners or kids or whatnot, and they're speaking your language, but there's such a miscommunication. Right? So what came in this morning was the perfecting of the pendulum. It's not necessarily about the pendulum. The perfecting of your understanding of yes, no, no, yes, love, fear, fear, love, unconditional love, fear, love, unity. And I spoke, some of you have heard me talk about this, these stages of development where we're in love and fear. When we're just in fear, we don't know love exists, and vice versa. And the second stage, so this students, you'll know because we've learned this, but for others, just in a nutshell, because it's a deep, profound teaching, the second level is when you're in fear, you know love exists. You remember that, you felt it, and that sort of gives you a little hope that, oh, this may pass. How do I get to love? Or when you're in love, you know that the fear exists, and maybe the fear of love might be right there, meaning, oh, I'm so in love, this might end. You know that fear exists, but you're in love. Make sense? The next level is where love and fear exist together. So when you're in love, you still feel fear, and when you're in fear, you still feel love. Right? That's the unity. So when you ask me, will I ever not feel fear? No, not until you're dead. Till your unconditional love, your purity of unconditional love. There's no, it's the 0 of the 10, right? It's our life is within the 0 point. Oh, a cup of tea. God, I just saw you drinking. I was like, my tea's getting cold. I'll let you contemplate that for a moment. So this morning is purely just bringing an awareness I love it. It's like the more you know, the more you don't know. It's like, oh yeah, we can do. I was saying this morning, because when all this came in, I was saying, okay, I'm being shown I need to teach the beginning, go back and teach from the beginning. And I was like, what's the beginning? And I never really taught 101, right? And so if I taught pendulum, or how to get an answer, or even how to use your pendulum, the body as a pendulum, or how to get clarity, or whatever, even just telling you in this short little spin is definitely not 101, right? So it's interesting, but that's what I'm being shown, to go back to the beginning of the awakening process, back to the beginning of the ascension process. And with what I know now, because when I taught it in, over the years, it was usually when I'm in it or just came out of it. So now that there's integration, do you see what I'm saying? Because I'm listening. Okay, where are people at? What do they need to know? What needs refining? And most of you know how to get an answer, how to get your basic intuition, I'm assuming. And linking that to the love and the fear, linking that to the survival ego, the spiritual ego, unconditional ego, bringing it all together. So no matter where you're at, you can navigate it. So let me just check my, and it's actually not my, it's actually not my, I was saying this morning, after this is actually my personal journal. I wrote July 2024 meditation and energy behaviors, and then I wrote what was happening after my it's my own documentation of my own process, right? And then I came on here going, okay, well, what are we going to talk about? And I'm literally touching on some of the information, So I think, I don't think, I was shown, and we will work our way to that process, and it'll be after the series. I'll do a workshop, and I think could change by then, but it'll have something like this in it, so that we can go through the whole process and go, deeper into what that means for you. So what, if anything, that I've said, you wrote down for a start? If you say all of it, I'll be like, oh, okay. But was there a point that you're like, oh, I need to write that down? I did tell you to write some things down, but you don't necessarily have to tell me. I just want you to reflect. Before we go, there was a second part, which is totally different, yet it's all connected. And it was the reminder around, because I'm hearing a lot about, I guess when we start to get on our journey, when we get to our 40s, sort of 40s, late 40s, there's some different stuff going on, whether you're male or female. It's when we start to go into our spiritual, what I call triangle. You've got heaven and earth. I did that back to front, but you get me. And what's important is to keep the energy flowing to the head. Now, a lot of people teach that, but they're not teaching how to cycle and why. And so connected to our physical existence, right? So many people want to shoot out the top of their head, go into the heavens and do all the transcendence stuff. All well and good. As you get older, well, it's not even about age. It's not even about age. But what I was shown was to share for those that are older in this particular area because of how the energy gets stuck, right? And if you get it to the head, you're going to have all sorts of difficulties. Right? If you don't get it from the head down back into the body, right, you can, anyone with any, so I'm not allowed to talk about medical stuff, but anything to do with memory, let's just put it that way. All the different things that are linked to memory, if we flow that energy, will assist. And if you do it before you go into those, the older years, right? We're talking later years. You won't have those sorts of problems. Those of you that are going through menopause or perimenopause, postmenopause, and have memory stuff, there's a flow, but it's also, hormones, but there's an energy flow. There's also ways to, if you're still menstruating, that you continue, but it's longer in between. It's longer in between. Rather than every month, it might be every 6, right? And that's on purpose. So there's things and ways of knowing that, people may be interested in. I'm happy to touch on it. You may not know you're interested because you don't know about it. But those of you that are doing meditations or activations or working with your energy, and you are getting really spacey or really hot in the head, or a lot of pressure in the head and whatnot, because you're working muscles that you may not have worked. They're not as strong as the rest of you, right? And it's fatigue, but it's also, this buildup of energy, and how we can utilize that into the rest of our body. So it's not just sitting at the head and you might all want to be Ganesh, right? The big-headed, elephant-headed god, because that's what happens, right? I've often talked about that, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens in the head, and students, because I tell you, right? So that's something else that may be of interest, that we can start to look at. So yeah, we'll wrap up the live. And so if you haven't signed up to Spirit Whisperer series, it starts next week, 15th. It's free, but it's on spiritwhisperer.online, and you can just sign up there. After that, you'll get notification of the workshop afterwards, which will be an amalgamation of heaven and earth, love and fear, the processes of the different levels of intuition, right? The 3 levels of intuition, and how they correlate to the love and fear. And I'm going to leave you with, I guess, the homework or the contemplation of your yes and no. And is your yes a love or a fear? And is your no a love or a fear? when you say yes to something, where's that coming from? And it'll be different for different things. Sometimes you'll say yes because there's a fear of missing out. There's a fear of letting somebody down. There's a fear of not being liked. There's a fear, whatever it might be. Or you say no. What are the reasons you're saying no? Like, you can look deeper. It'll show you what your core fears are, what your core conditionings are. I mean, you could get a lot of information just by looking at where you say yes or no, or on an energetic level, what you're drawn to, what you're moved away from. But your yes and no, your verbal yes or no, can be different. So actually, your last piece of homework together, this is just refining that when you're saying yes, so, okay, you're going to show up for this live or not, or you're going to go to the shop today to get something, or you're not, right? So if it's a yes, yep, I'm going, check in with your body if it agrees. And actually, I'll leave this for the holistic mystic part, because it's going deeper into this. So I hope to see you for Spirit Whisperer. We have a bunch of people talking about awesome things that I don't think they've really touched on before, because most people don't like to talk about fear. And I've noticed, so touching for yourself, when we use the word fear or ego, people are repelled. So if you're a business person, just take note, right? But there are some things that need to be spoken about, whether they're popular or not. Right? So notice for yourself, the more that you have a relationship with fear and speaking about it and admitting that there's something going on for you, that's your vulnerability. The more vulnerable you are, the more connections you have in the world, the more you can receive. It's a practice. It's an ongoing practice. So, all right. So go and sign up for Spirit Whisperer, spiritwhisperer.online, spiritwhisperer.online, and come and check that out. And it'll also get you on the mailing list for when we do the workshops. That will be free. And you can come and experience directly some of what I'm talking about. Is there anything else? I think that's it for now. So if you're watching online and you're in Holistic Mystic, the Inner Circle, come over to the Zoom link now, because we're going. All right, much love. May the blessings be. Until Thursday, I believe. It's Tuesday, isn't it?